Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for your contributions on the 702 open line. And the parliamentary inquiry is just being adjourned now. The ad hoc committee that was supposed to hear from the KZN Police Commissioner, General Clement Manyathela, that's now been adjourned. I imagine they're trying to figure out what the position of Parliament is going to be. Do they continue with the first witness today, General Mkhwanazi, or do they try and sort their house in order first and then maybe ask him to come back tomorrow? Because if really the committee decides that, okay, we need a new statement from General Mkhwanazi, that's not just going to take an hour to reproduce. I would imagine that's going to take some time, especially if the evidence leaders have to sit down with him, which is what I thought the process would be. Unless, of course, they're going to just do a copy and paste. Then maybe he could start with his testimony later today. But let's wait and see. They've just adjourned now. We'll probably know in the next hour or so what the decision of this ad hoc committee is. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our World of Work feature. Today we'll be looking at the impact of unemployment on mental health. I think it's important to understand how unemployment and mental health collide, why they magnify each other, and what hope is there, right? Especially for those people that have struggled with this for some time, communities that are under pressure. And if you're unemployed or you were unemployed and you want to share some tips with how you've managed to handle that so that it doesn't impact you to a point where it was a negative impact on your mental health, what did you do? So please share your tips with us at 11 o'clock when we start this conversation. And then we're going to wrap up the show with our health and wellness feature, where we'll be discussing dyslexia. That's what's coming up at 11:30.
702
Healing Hour.
But right now, we start with our Healing Hour feature. This is our monthly feature, and whenever we do Healing Hour, we basically dedicate an hour to have a conversation amongst ourselves as friends, as the 702 family. This is a safe space to share our pain, to share our stories of survival, to share our experiences as friends, as a family, as a community, with no judgment. And what I want us today to do is to reflect on life lessons. And I'm asking you this morning on our Healing Hour feature, what has life taught you that you wish you knew when you were young? Whether young to you means 18, or it means 25, or it means 30, but what is it that life has taught you that you wish you knew when you were young? I want you to give us a call right now on 011-883-0702 to share that with us. Or you can send a WhatsApp voice note on 072-702-1702. We've all lived different lives. We've all experienced different things, right? So what is it really that life has taught you that you wish you knew earlier on in your life? So once again, that number to dial, 011-883-0702. You can send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. There are some people who actually, as they have experienced things in life, there are things that they wish they knew when they were young, or they wish they knew earlier on in life. But the difference is they still don't practice what they have learned, even in that older age, so to speak. So you know that, I actually wish I knew this lesson when I was much younger or earlier on in my life. But for some reason, that still hasn't changed the dynamics of your life, even when you're older. Are there certain things that you're still struggling with that you know now, but you're still struggling to live by now, even though you know, had I known this when I was much younger or earlier on in my life, that would have made a huge difference in my life. Let's talk. 011 883 0702. Your WhatsApps are coming on 072 702 1702.
702.
Healing Hour.
One lesson that I have learned from experience is that there are up escalators and down escalators in life. When you feel on top of the world, don't act as if you will remain there. And when you are at your lowest point, recognize that this too will pass. Life has passing phases. The wheel turns.
So, if you're probably wondering there, who's that? That's the voice of Helen Ziller, the possibly future mayor of Johannesburg, if you were to vote for her, but currently the DA Federal Executive Chair. So, passing phases. I have to say, even at this relatively young age I'm at 35, I do realize that that is actually something that I've come to learn. That life has passing phases. And I'm learning to embrace the good and the bad phases. And when I say I'm learning, I realize that there's a lot I need to unlearn. Because when we were being raised, we were always taught never to embrace the negative bad moments. And by embrace, I'm not saying celebrate them. I mean, of course, you're not going to be happy that you have just failed something. Yeah? So what I mean is, we were raised, even when we used to go to church. When you go to church, you are constantly told of, which is great, right? Because they teach you about the goodness of the Lord, the goodness of God, which is true. But sometimes we get so drunk with that we don't, whenever there's disappointment that comes in our lives, it really destroys us completely. Because then you think, oh, am I being punished? Oh, am I being bewitched? Oh, this must mean that I've done something wrong. No, this is life. Life has seasons. And yes, in that moment of difficulty, you can call on to your maker or to your ancestors or to the universe, to the source, the energy, whatever you believe in. But I think we live in a world, in a society where there's toxic positivity. That's why we find all these new words to describe our disappointment, because we've been told and taught we're not supposed to feel like this. We always want to try and imagine things. We always want to try and think, why? Is God punishing me? Oh, is it because I did something wrong a week ago? Or why is this thing happening to me? And I think I agree with Helen there. Life has passing phases. And I think we need to be aware of that. I'm sure you have been somewhere in your life where you thought, am I going to survive this? And yet you're still here. That should teach you something about life and the phases that it has, so that the next time you deal with something difficult, then you know that you are not going to panic. You're actually going to just ask for strength from wherever and take the path, knowing that you're going to emerge on the other side. More of your WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Clement, I have learned that no man is an island. I thought living with people when I was young was boring, but realizing that people are molders of one's life, I wish I knew that before. Hence I say, treat people with respect. Do unto others what you wish them to do unto you. Thank you.
Hi, Clement. Thank you so much for the show. I wish I could have known earlier that not everyone has the same heart as you do. If you go around thinking that everybody has the same heart as you do, you'll be very disappointed, because you can go all out for people, do things for people wholeheartedly, with love, with kindness. Don't expect to get anything similar in return from anyone. You'd be very disappointed. So I wish I could have known from a very early age, so that I just keep on doing and keep on giving and keep on being kind without expecting anything in return. Now I can do that without expecting anything in return.
Good day, Clement. Life has taught me that there are reasons and seasons. Grief in that moment, the loss of loved ones, friends, and how life, we are not on the same page. And it has taught me to understand the reasons and the seasons, because I always look at nature, and that has taught me to be in the moment of whatever I go through, be it happy, sad, good, bad. In that moment, that is my life journey. It took me very long, but that is what life has taught me. Life is life.
I love that. Be in the moment. Oh, how many of us are obsessed about the past and the future that we miss out on the now? How many of us are obsessed about the past and the future? There's a gentleman that Oprah Winfrey always talks to. What's his name? Do you guys remember his name? Is it Akator? There's a psychologist, an author that Oprah Winfrey always talks to. I was listening to their podcast just the other day, running on Sunday, and he speaks about, I must just remember the name. He speaks about how the future is an illusion. It is. No, not Dr. Phil. No. I wouldn't even dare compare this gentleman to Dr. Phil. But he speaks about how the future is an illusion. What matters and what is real is this moment right now. You're hearing my voice now. That's what's real now. Tomorrow, that's an illusion. Yeah, you probably think tomorrow you're going to wake up and wear that white shirt. You probably have prepared it already. You probably think you're going to wake up and do the usual thing of preparing lunch for your kids. That's an illusion. That doesn't exist. But we think that it exists in our minds. And it does help us to an extent, because that helps us actually plan, Like, I know that I want to go away in December. So where do I want to go to? How do I start saving money for that? But we need to realize that what matters is right now. Like, we need to learn to be in the moment. And I'm learning that more and more as I grow older. And I think I've learned that more and more this year, more than ever before, because this is a year where I've lost some really close people to me who had plans. They had plans about the future. And at the moment that they passed, they didn't even know that they are not coming back. They didn't know that they're not going to come back to their desk in the office. They didn't know that they're not coming back to their bedroom. They didn't know that they're not coming back to talk to their friends and their family and their loved ones. And for some reason, I'm always reminded of that. Yes, Eckhart Tolle, or Eckhart Tolle, however you pronounce his surname. I do recommend the podcast. He had a conversation with Oprah Winfrey. Many conversations, but there's one that I was listening to on Sunday. I'll put it up on Twitter for you. It was so fascinating, because it helps you understand why right now matters more than yesterday and matters more than tomorrow. I think we take that for granted. So thank you to that listener who speaks about being in the moment, because I think you're teaching us something as well.
Hello, Clement. This is Mama Kheti Pakeng. And the one thing that I wish I knew when I was younger is that nothing that happens to you is against you. Everything that happens to you is for you, good or bad, challenging or whatever, it's for you. Just look for the silver lining, and you will realize that you needed that challenging thing that happened to you. So embrace whatever happens to you, because it is for you. Thank you very much.
Oh, so cool. Yeah. Nothing that happens to you is against you. What has life taught you? Thank you, Professor Pakeng. What has life taught you? Now, as we speak, when you're reflecting on life and the lessons, what is that one lesson that you've taken from your 50 years, 40 years, 38 years, 35, whatever, 60, 70, 80 years of life? What is it that life has taught you that you wish you knew in your earlier life?
Good morning. Good morning. What I've learned is that you have to remain humble in life, because I've seen people who were laughing at something, they eventually became that thing. So always remain humble, even if you're a millionaire, you know. Thanks, man.
Good morning, Clement. Oh, I turned 50 this year. And sometime in my 30s or late 20s, I can't remember exactly, I came across the book, The Four Agreements. And agreement number 2 is what transformed my life, although it took a while for me to really live according to the principle. But in my 50s, as I turned 50, late 40s into my 50, I started living by it. And agreement number 2, it says, don't take things personal. When somebody compliments you, don't take it personal. It says everything about them. When somebody treats you bad, don't take it personal. It has got nothing to do with you, but everything to do with them. So if we embrace that, then life becomes a little bit easier.
Good morning, Clement. Thanks for the question of what have we learned, or what have we wished we learned. I'm of an opinion that it's okay when we go through life and realize the mistakes that we've made along the way and the things that we've learned from those mistakes, rather than looking back and saying, I wish I knew this or that. That's what I believe. That's the motto I live by, because sometimes we look back and we look back with a cloud of regrets and a cloud of should have, could have, would have. But I think it's okay to approach a new day as I've learned 1, 2, and 3, and I'm taking this with me going forward. Thank you. Kia from Pretoria.
Yeah, I do get the point that you raise. I do think that life always gives us an opportunity for reflection. And reflecting on life and looking at the lessons doesn't necessarily mean that you regret what you've done, 1, 2, 3, or what you've not been able to do back when you were young. But it's hindsight. I think hindsight is always best, not just for us, but also for people that are coming. Like, I've got a younger sister who is at university. There are certain things that I wish I could have done when I was at university, which would have really helped me in my career or helped me in my personal development. Those are the kind of things then you teach to the younger generation. And you say to them, and look, they will make their own choices. They will make their own mistakes. They will decide what approach they want to take to life. But I think it's still important for us to reflect and say, actually, being where I am now, I realize that, it's not bad. Like, sometimes my sister calls and she tells me I'm so depressed. I'm tired of school, depressed because of school. I was like, baby girl, we've been there. It feels like that in this moment, but trust me, it's gonna be fine. There was a point where we felt like giving up. There was a point where you thought, oh my God, it's impossible that I will even be able to graduate. And yet, many people who felt that way, who have graduated, who are now employed. And some, yes, sadly may not be, but they've still crossed that line of graduation. And those are the lessons you continuously go back to the people and you say, hey, look, when I was your age, this was my approach. And I realized that it didn't serve me much. It didn't serve me much, So, yeah, part of reflecting is also teaching the other ones that are coming. And I believe there are people listening to us now who are taking lessons from some of you who are telling them, who are expressing what you've learned. I'm definitely taking lessons so that I know that when I'm in this situation or when I feel like this, I know that there are many other people that have gone through that and they've made it. Andile, you're calling us from Dobsonville. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Clement. Great show. Yeah, my life lesson is that it's what my mother told me. No matter how bad things get, if you only have that faith and belief, you'll always get through, So I definitely wouldn't change a thing because all the experiences basically have shaped who I am and my perspective in life.
So faith was very important for you then, Andile. And
Sorry,
hope. So you're saying faith and hope was quite central.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when things got rough at home, my mother always said in Zulu, "Itemba al-bulal," which means when you have faith and hope, it won't kill you. It will only make you stronger because that helps you to maintain that positive perspective. That no matter how bad things get, no matter how bruised, battered, and you think it's hopeless, if you maintain that faith and hope, you'll always come through on the other end.
Yeah, Andile, thank you so much for sharing that with us. There was actually, I remember, there's a book that I was, what do you say? Do you say I was part of? That I want to tell you about, because I've just remembered something now as Andile was speaking. There's a book that was compiled by a gentleman by the name of Temba. Maybe we should bring him on the line, and he can tell you more about it, because I think it is a fascinating book. It's titled 25 Lessons at 25. Lessons from Leaders, Thinkers, and Trailblazers by Thembaletu Seyisi. So this is someone who has basically asked a few of us to write essays about lessons that we have learned and what we wish we knew at the age of 25. It's a great project. The proceeds of this book are going to go to an organization that he has picked. But what he's done, he's invited people like, Thuli Madonsela, he's invited Bruce Whitfield, he's invited people like the public protector. There are so many people that I think 25 people, Sylvester Chauke, Imtiaz Suleiman. There are a number of people that he invited, and he said, please write me an essay, talk to your 25-year-old self. And I've just remembered what I had written when I wrote my piece, which is also part of the book. So if you're interested, you can go get the book. And I wrote about the power of comfortability. And then maybe after the headlines, what I'll do is I'll read you about 3 or 4 paragraphs of what I had written, because at 25, I was a completely different person. My approach to life was completely different to where I am now. But I think that is also just an interesting moment of reflection, because you see what life has taught you, and you can say to someone who's 25 or someone who's still coming up and say, this is how I dealt with this. This is the pressure I faced. And many times you'll realize we are facing the same challenges, but just in different forms.
7:02 Healing Hour.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock, we are doing our monthly feature, The Healing Hour. And this is what we do once every month, where we just dedicate an hour to having a conversation among ourselves as the 702 family. And today we are reflecting on life lessons that we've learned along the way. And I've been asking you this morning, as you reflect on your life lessons, what has life taught you that you wish you knew earlier on in your life, when you were still in your 30s, maybe when you're still in your 20s, or when you're still a teenager, whatever it is. What has life taught you today that you didn't understand back then and you wish you did understand? We're taking your calls on 011-883-0702, your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Good morning, Clement. Clement, what I have learned is happiness. For you to be happy, do not waver. For anybody else, do not change. For anybody else, do not compromise yourself for anybody else. Be happy and content with who you are. Do everything that makes you happy first. Then everybody else will follow. You will see how easy your life is. Do not live your life chasing money, but live your life for your happiness?
Hi, Clement. Life has taught me that you always need to treat people with respect, and you need to, make sure that when you interact with them, it's through a humble, respectful manner. Because often arrogance is arrogance comes before the downfall. This is Koketso from Joburg.
Hey Clement, Bongani here. The one thing I wish I'd known when I was younger was that I was going to be okay. Was just going to be okay. Everything was going to be okay. There are so many experiences that feel unique to us when you feel excluded because you are different, when your life doesn't go the way that you thought it would, the way that you planned, when it feels like the world has turned its back on you, when it feels as if God himself is against you and nobody quite understands. In those moments of darkness when you feel entirely alone, one of the things that you have to remember is that through each of those stages, whether it's the loss of a parent, the loss of a child, the loss of a spouse, the loss of a partner, loss in love, losing money, losing a home, losing everything you once held dear, you will be okay. Because whatever it is that you lose, you find ways to gain yourself. And it's there that I think you should draw strength. It's always going to be okay.
Yeah. So whatever you are going through, whatever situation is facing you, just know that there's so many people that have had unique experiences where they felt this is it. And they've somehow, as Bongani says, found themselves. So it's always going to be okay. So I once wrote this remember I told you about that book earlier on. This book that we contributed towards, it's titled 25 Lessons at 25. Lessons from leaders, thinkers, and trailblazers. I was asked to also contribute something. There are many other people that have contributed to the book where they wrote essays about what they basically have learned, right, with life. And this is what I wrote. I'm not going to read you all of it because it's quite a lot. But there was a section where I wrote about the power of comfortability. And then I go on to say that one of the most profound shifts in my life came when I stopped letting other people's opinions define me. At 25, I was still heavily influenced by societal expectations. I wanted to be liked. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to be recognized. I cared way too much about what people thought of me. If someone praised me, it gave me a high. But if someone criticized me, it would ruin my day. I would sit with it, turning it over in my mind, wondering what I'd done wrong and how to fix it. It took me years to realize that if you live by people's praise, you're going to die by their criticism. That's probably the most important lesson I've learned in the last decade. People will praise you one day and criticize you the next day. You can't live your life based on that. That's the thing about comfortability. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't decide that you're comfortable with and what you're not. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices. These days, I'm comfortable with who I am and the choices I make. I don't owe anyone an explanation for the life I've built. I can live in the home I want. I can drive the car I want. I can date whoever I want without worrying about what people think. I've learned that you don't have to respond to everything. Being comfortable means knowing when to speak and when to let it go. And then I go on and on and on and on, and you can read more about it in this book that I'm telling you about now, which is titled 25 Lessons at 25. And you know who the author of 25 Lessons at 25 is Thembaletu Seyisi, who's actually joining us now on the line, because I think he could probably share with us something that was probably common amongst all these people that he asked to write about life lessons in this book. Themba, thank you so much for coming through, man, at such short notice. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to your listeners. I am hugely grateful for this privilege.
Yeah, and once again, I've said this to you, but congratulations on this project. I think it's just incredible to hear from these incredible thinkers, these trailblazers, and hear what their life lessons are as they reflect on their lives. Can you maybe share with us what you've picked up? Because you've looked at all the stories that we have shared with you, that you've published in your book. But what is it that you think has been the central theme here that many of us have actually experienced when we were 25 that we share in the book?
Clement, the one theme that really runs through the book is the love for this country. 25 Life Lessons at 25 is a mixture between great South Africans and giants of our continent. And really, the one central theme is that none of you gave up. All 25 people still push to today, not because they want their lives to be better, but also they want this country and the continent to be better. It came up in various contributions in different ways. For example, I think Ashraf makes the point, your listeners would be quite familiar with Ashraf Garda, who's at the SAFM family, about champion nations building champion people. You cannot have a champion nation without having built champion people. And those are people that are willing to work for their country. Even when life is difficult, you don't only get up for yourself, but you get up for your country as well.
Oh, love that. I love that. And how do people get a hold of the book? I've got some people asking, where can we read about these stories? How do they purchase it?
And luckily for those who are in Joburg, the exclusive books in Rosebank has copies. For those who are around other parts of the country, you can go to Uhlanga Books, the website by my publisher, and you'll find a way to get the book from the website.
Books. But if you're in Johannesburg, Rosebank already has it. Rosebank exclusive books. Okay. Themba, thank you so much. I don't want to keep you for too long. I just wanted to come and share that central theme, but also tell the people where they can find this book, those that are interested to read about these stories. It's titled 25 Lessons at 25. You can hear from people like Basitsana Kumalo there, Bruce Whitfield, Thuli Madonsela, Imtiaz Suleiman, who's the founder of Gift of the Givers, and many, many, many others. You can read about what their life lessons have been. I thought it was quite fascinating.
702 Healing Hour.
12 minutes before 11 o'clock. Straight to your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Clement. Hope you're good. One thing that I've learned is that no one really cares. No one really cares. What you're going through, what you've been through, you're on your own. You're on your own. And until we all realize that we have no one but ourselves, then you start pushing and stop blaming people for everything that has happened. And that's when things will really make sense. So that's one thing that I've learned, that as a person, you're on your own and no one cares. No one cares. So you have to do it yourself, whatever that you need to do. This is Lanzola from Pretoria.
Hi, Clement. Good morning. You know what I have learned is that life is a gift, and if you do not treat with it carefully, you can be destroyed, or you can destroy others. So I've learned that at a much later state, after I lost the use of my legs. So, and yes, you have to respect this very life that has been given unto you. Do not take advantage of it. Thank you.
Hi Clement, lovely topic, thank you for that. I think one of the things I've learned with time is that you really appreciate the people that have brought you up and the things that they've done for you and how much they've sacrificed for you. And my parents always told me when I was younger, oh, when you have your own children, then you'll understand. And I always thought, I never took it seriously. And then I did have my children. And then you suddenly realize just how much it takes to bring up children. And so I'm very humbled by that. And I think I appreciate my parents a lot more now than I ever did before.
Yeah, isn't that fascinating that as we grow older, that's when we actually tend to appreciate our parents and their efforts more than we did when we were young, because we were so naive, Sometimes I get irritated with myself when I remember how I used to be upset because, my mom used to give me money for grocery to contribute towards grocery when I was in varsity and I was staying in this one room with 3 friends, and we used to contribute towards grocery, and that money would come late. And I never used to understand it. I used to think, why are you giving me this money late? This guy's already contributed 2 days ago. Because she still had to go and take a loan. And this would happen almost every single month. And you realize that much later, that in hindsight, these are your parents who are trying to hustle to get you through school. But in that moment, you are so naive and so self-absorbed as a teenager that you think, everything must stop and the parents must have whatever you want at whatever time you want it, which is quite ridiculous. And that's one thing that you learn as you grow older and older, isn't it? Let me read some texts and I'll go back to some more calls and WhatsApps. Let me start here. Let's start with this one who says, hi, Clement, this is Natia. Life has taught me that anything you do in the dark, one day it will be known. Tlabeli pepeneneng. That's Nati there. Another one says, Clement, I wish I knew that adulting is a scam. Icona, siyakowisha. That's Refile in Alberton. And then Vic says, Clement, growing up thinking we'll get old with my friends. That's one thing I've learned. 3 of them have died before the age of 30 years. That other painful reminder that the people you're with are not always going to be there with you. Right? Another one says, hi, Clement. Life has taught me that 1, nothing lasts forever in this world. 2, nobody likes you except for your parents. And in some occasions, they too don't. Really? Number 3, death is an eye-opener for you, for us, and all. Nelson here, great show. Thank you, Nelson, for that. Yeah, I did say earlier on that, for me, this year has taught me so much, and through death, because I've lost 2 friends in the space of 3 months. And I think that opened my eyes so much about life. My approach to life has fundamentally changed because of that experience. So I absolutely agree with you there. Another one says, Clement, for me, what life taught me is that if you are indecisive, then the world around you will make the choices for you. Another one says, Clement, I'm constantly telling myself to be where my feet are. That put things into perspective for me as an anxious overthinker who plans excessively. Even my plan B has a plan B. So I'm constantly saying this to myself to be in the present. I also wish I knew in my mid-20s to extend to myself the same grace I freely give to others. I'm so hard on myself, but I'm learning to be kinder to myself, to be present and take things slowly. That's a message there from Samu. Samu, so important to extend grace to yourself. How many of us are so quick to extend that grace to other people around us? Your partner who has consistently been breaking your heart, or friends who sometimes have never really cared as you do, your parents who have made mistakes, but you're so hard on yourself. We need to be more and more gracious to ourselves. Another one says, Clement, everything happens for a reason. It can be good or bad. That's what I have learned. That's a message there from Caiaphas. Let's go back to your WhatsApps.
Hi, Clement. It's Katlako from Davidson. Great show, by the way. What I've learned, Clement, from life is that my past mistakes, I'll call them even lessons. You know, I am what I am because of what happened in the past, whether good or bad. And also, I must say, I like the man I'm becoming due to everything that happened in the past, whether good or bad. And also, I've learned to be more humble and respect people. Doesn't matter where you come from, your background or anything, just respect people.
Yeah. And then another one says, Clement, what I've learned is that no one is coming for you. Another one says, Clement, life taught me if you don't rest, your body will do it for you. Ooh, yeah. Listen, this I've experienced myself. Another one says, Clement, I've learned that when making vital decisions about your life, make them for you, not for anyone else, be it your family or your friends. The other one says, Clement, I wish I could have started my retirement annuity at an early age when I started working in my life. Every year I get rebates from SARS. My money is good, but I wish it could be more. Great lesson there. And I suppose for many of us that are still, in the labor force, we can take a lesson or two from that. Dr. Lepoto on Twitter says, Clement, nothing that happens to you is against you. No, that's a blanket statement. I simply cannot agree with that. Nonetheless, I get the overall gist of that topic. Yeah, there is someone who said that's what they've learned, is that nothing that happens to you is actually against you. And then another one says, hi, Clement. Yeah, I really wish that I had learned to be patient when I was much younger. There's so many things I ended up doing because I just wanted to make it quickly, regardless of the cost. Aldrin says, hi, I wish I knew and recognized the power of prayer and the faith prayer requires. Hey, the power of prayer and the faith prayer requires. It's 2 minutes now before 11 o'clock.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.